Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our lessons in insanity. And there's a couple of things I wanted to discuss today that I think are important, and I want to read you. This is an article from CNN, and you can guess what side of the political equation CNN is on, and it's called House Passes Anti-Trans Sports Bill. What it should say is the House passes Anti-Dudes in Women's Sports Bill, or Men in Women's Sports Bill. But it doesn't. It says anti-trans, as if trans actually means something. It does not. You have men and you have women, and then you have people who are insane, clinically insane, with gender dysphoria. Doesn't make them bad people, it just means they're insane, and they need help. And there shouldn't be a political dialogue about crazy people. So this is what it reads here. The House voted on Thursday to pass a GOP-led bill that would ban transgender athletes from women and girls sports. Let's rephrase that. The ban would ban men athletes from women's and girls sports. And remember, you now have men going into women's locker rooms, fully declothing, exposing themselves in front of women who are incredibly uncomfortable with this. And then compounding that, these men are just assaulting women, quite literally, in the ring if it's a martial sport, and then beating the crap out of them if it's a swimming sport. Not supposed to be like this. And what's insane is that every Democratic member of Congress voted against this bill. What does that tell you? How on earth, if you are a rational person, can you honestly believe that a man should be in a woman's locker room exposing himself to female athletes? That men should be assaulting women in martial sports? That men should be dominating women's sports? It makes no sense. And again, this is one indication that we are a step closer towards civil conflict. Because myself and many other folks are taking a stand against this. And ultimately, if it has to get kinetic, it's going to have to get kinetic, because this is completely insane. The entire Democratic House of Congress voted in opposition to protecting women in sports. Insane. There's another issue I want to talk about. I want to talk about electric cars. This is something that I know very well. And I wanted to discuss the prospects of everyone at some point possibly having to own an electric car. And I wanted to explain why that should be concerning to you, knowing what I know. So my stance on electric cars is that if you like electric cars, you enjoy the technology, then by all means go out and purchase an electric car. Are they more expensive? Yes. Is there a downside to electric cars? Yes, there is. But again, is it cool technology? It is. Would I personally own just electric cars? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'll try to explain why. So you have states like California, other quote-unquote progressive, degressive, whatever you want to call it, states that are attempting to force Americans to purchase electric cars, or essentially just get rid of their gas-driven automobiles. Now, here's the big issue I have with the prospects of everybody owning an electric car or being mandated to own an electric car. At any point, the government, if they wished to stop transportation in a certain area of the United States, could be anywhere, the government, in conjunction with the electric car company, can simply remotely turn your car off at any point. I've seen it. I know the capabilities that exist within the EV industry that give those companies that capability. So the same capability that gives the larger EV automakers, Tesla, Rivian, Polestar, Lucid, you name it, the ability to do those over-the-air updates. It gives them the same capability to shut down your car. So if there was some sort of national emergency and the government in power believed that they should just cut off all transportation in the United States, again, hypothetically speaking, that all transportation is converted to electric vehicles, then they could do that. Every single car would just stop working. You could not start it. It will not go anywhere. And not only that, they could cut power to electrical charging stations. It's not like with your gas-powered car, you just put gas in it and you can go. Now, obviously, I do know there are late model vehicles that the government could shut down. They could turn them off. But cars made in the 70s, 80s, 60s, 90s, they can't do that. They don't have that capability. But they can with these newer electric vehicles. And I have to wonder, again, with this push towards the EV, which, again, if you like EVs, great, fine, get an EV. But everyone should not be mandated to purchase an electric vehicle. It's not going to help the environment, not that much. Not when you consider the pollution that is being caused by countries such as China, India, and other nation states that have essentially no environmental restrictions whatsoever. But here in the United States, for some reason, they have suddenly decided that you have to have an EV. Have to have an EV. Got to take away your guns, and you have to have an EV. Just saying, be very careful what you wish for, liberals or neo-liberals. The place that you are taking the country is not going to be a good one. There's going to be ultimately serious pushback, whether it's men exposing themselves in women's locker rooms and defeating women in all women's sports, where women's sports eventually becomes a thing of the past and you only have batshit crazy dudes dressing up as women beating other batshit crazy dudes. So you'll have men's sports, and then you'll have batshit crazy dude sports. And that's it. And then, one day, maybe you'll get in your electric vehicle to go watch one of these sporting events, and the government will say, no, you can't go today. Your car's cut off. Have a good day.